DBS Economic Report on India. Growth in the first three quarters of the fiscal year 2012 to 2013 stood at 5.1%, and DBS expects full-year growth to also average 5.1%. This will be the slowest growth in 10 years. Unmet infrastructure needs and high input costs have made the downturn more structural in nature. With both industry and agricultural slowing, weakness has percolated to the key services sector. As part of the fiscal stimulus was rolled back, final consumption expenditure slowed in the first three quarters of fiscal year 2012 to 2013 to 3.3% year-on-year. Meanwhile, sticky inflation and high borrowing costs eroded purchasing power. Looking ahead, a normal monsoon, a 16% increase in fiscal spending, and stabilization in consumption spending should put GDP growth at 6% in fiscal year 2013 to 2014. Even as consumption and investment spending moderated in the past year, the current account deficit, or CAD, touches a record high, 5.4% of GDP in the second quarter. On further deterioration in the merchandise trade deficit and invisible balance, matters are unlikely to have improved much in the third quarter as well. The fiscal year 2012 to 2013 CAD is expected to average 5% of GDP before improving marginally to 4% thereafter. After holding off for 9 months, the Reserve Bank of India stood by the guidance provided in the October to December 2012 policy reviews and eased the repurchase rate by 25 basis points in January. The softening of WPI inflation fulfilled one of their main prerequisites, alongside moves by the government to partly deregulate fuel price. Room for further rate cuts is limited, given the current account deficit and risks of rupee depreciation. DBS expects the central bank to deliver a 25 basis point cut at the mid-March rate review. Though beyond that, there is room only for 50 basis points more cuts until the end of the year. Expenditure restraint in the second half of the fiscal year 2012 to 2013, and divestment helped the government meet its fiscal deficit target. The budget for fiscal year 2013 to 2014 carries plans to boost spending by 16%, while revenue targets assume firm growth. Given little adjustment in subsidies and an approaching election, willingness to scale back spending will be limited. The fiscal deficit could well exceed the 4.8% of GDP target by about half a percentage point or more.